Hello.
Hey, Jay.
Yes. Hi. Hey, Sean. Thanks a lot for doing that.
No worries. Is it any better now?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's just my recording setup. So it just, I let it sit in sleep mode a little too long. So it disconnected the phone from my recording setup. So.
Okay, man. Well, I'm glad we got back on track there.
Yeah. Technical difficulty.
Sorry about that.
Hey, it's all good.
Yeah. It happened out in Manitoba. For some reason, my phone didn't want to ring, and because I had a bunch of press, and it didn't ring there. And then it was fine in Saskatchewan and BC, and problematic in Alberta as well. I have no idea. I checked with TELUS, and they said everything's fine. So technology is great when it works. And when it doesn't, it just isn't.
Oh, and that's part of the fun of Canada. I've driven across the country a few times, and just every once in a while, you get into a pocket where cell service disappears.
Yeah. I just drove from Ottawa to Victoria, BC, and back.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, are you recording now? You might as well record our conversation.
Yeah, it's recording right now. So if you're cool, we can include this in the chat if you want.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm glad I didn't swear.
No, that's okay. I got some magic there. I can beep things out. It's not live, so.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on.
So first of all, I just want to say thanks for coming on the show here, the Radical Fabulatorium in St. John, New Brunswick on local FM. I know you're in town here as part of the Great Big Canadian Road Trip on September 27th at the BMO Theatre.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I've never been there, but it's my fans have told me and friends have told me it's a beautiful, really cool little venue that's up close and personal, which is perfect for what I want to do. And I'm looking forward to it. I've been trying really hard for a long time to find a place in St. John to play. In fact, I don't think I've ever played a solo show in St. John proper. So I'm thrilled. Finally.
Great. Yeah, that was going to be my next question if you'd ever been there, because your friends are correct. It's like this really nice, beautiful, soft cedar. It's very intimate, but it's got this very chill kind of brick wall vibe to it. It's really nice.
Yeah, man, and that's what I strive to find, and I haven't been able. I've taken some heat for not playing in St. John, but again, I challenge anyone to find a place to play that's not a bar, because I don't do bars. I don't drink anymore, and I find it to be too much of a distraction. Mm-hmm. So I'm a kind of a theater act, and now I'm just glad that there is one. I'm reassured that there's actually one in St. John. Yeah,
this might be the perfect place because it's run by the St. John Theatre Company, so there's a lot of like live performance or smaller festival shows that happen there.
Yeah, and we actually just found out this morning the show is sold out, so it's all tickets are gone. So St. John is showing the love, and I'm very grateful for that too.
That's amazing. I was going to say to my listeners that they should run out and grab tickets while they can, but I guess that time has passed.
I guess so. Yeah. But I am grateful, and maybe I'll come back and do 2 nights next year. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. So maybe we should talk a little bit about. Well, I kind of had a few things I wanted to talk about. I mean, your story is like obviously the Great Big Sea thing, but then the story afterwards is so fascinating to me in general. Maybe I just want to mention I just last week saw, and I'm kind of new to learning your story. I saw last week your TEDx performance from Ottawa. And
a few years back.
Yeah, I thought that was really powerful. I just, I don't know. I just thought that was like a pretty moving performance and a moving story. And maybe that'd be a good place for anyone who doesn't know your story to start. If they go on YouTube, check that out. But I don't know. Is that something you want to quickly summarize for folks, or?
I guess if people are following me, I've just, I was the guy from Great Big Sea who sang all the hard songs, Mary Mac and Patty Murphy and all the screamers, and some of the softer ones too. And wrote some hits with my friend Alan, like Ordinary Day and Consequence Free and whatnot. And, those days came to a kind of an end when I sobered up. And that was, a hard right turn, being from Canada's favorite party band and then going into sobriety and trying to do both was untenable. So I reluctantly removed myself from the Great Big Tour bus, and 14 years later, I'm still sober and still singing. So that's kind of where it's at. A lot has happened in between there. And then you referenced the speech. I do some public speaking. I never have a script. I just have my experience, and I have over 200 songs in my arsenal that I use to get my real messages across. And, music has really been medicinal for me. Even in the party band sense, we were always good at gathering people together. And I still sing the Great Big Sea songs. After all, I wrote a lot of them. And, music right now in today's world in Canada and across North America and the world, we are all suffering from a disease called division. Mm-hmm. And music is one of the few things left that we have that can get us through this, because this crazy polarization, which is, I imagine it has a lot to do with social media. But what I've learned on this Canadian road trip, traveling from Ottawa to Victoria and back, is that every night in my audience, there's a lot of differences of opinion. Mm-hmm. And I look them right in the eyes, and I know that these audiences are divided politically and ideologically. But when we start singing together, there's hope, because we can do this. The very act of singing together with your neighbors who you have extreme differences sometimes with is like an act of rebellion. It's pushing back against division. And what I've learned is Canada, for now, is still a country where differences can be respected face to face. And that's what I want to fight for, that Canada, because we see on the news and we see on social media that is not something we should take for granted, because that is a gift that can be lost.
I completely agree. And I've heard you describe your tour as kind of like a unity tour.
Yep, I am out there preaching the gospel of unity, and I'm using songs to do it, because people can put aside their differences for an hour and be together in the same room and share a song together. That's a fairly intimate thing to do. So by doing that, you're forced to remember that, in spite of our differences, we are at heart the same. Mm-hmm. We are Canadians. We're human beings. And that's what you tend to forget when you live online. That's what you forget, because the news doesn't talk about that. Mm-hmm. It's the division that's amplified. It's the anger that rages, that people can't resist. And it doesn't have to be that way. That's a choice we make. And from my perspective, love is the answer. To quote John Lennon and the Beatles, love is the alternative, and love is the thing that keeps us together when differences arise. Mm-hmm. We just need to remember that we have more in common than we do apart.
Absolutely. And I've heard you say too that you can't really counter anger with anger. That's not really the route to take.
No, it doesn't work. I've tried that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And anger is a very seductive thing, but so is love. Mm-hmm. And in this case, when you have a Donald Trump in office in America, hammering us, threatening the world, mm-hmm. one country at a time, I mean, to come back and we have to defend ourselves. We have to push back, but to give him to take the bait and respond in kind and become the asshole that he is, mm-hmm. he loves that. That's a win for him. So we have to be above that. We have to rise above that, push back firmly, and reject him and what he stands for, and then take the high road, which is compassion, which mm-hmm. is the opposite of him, which is care, which is the opposite of him. These are the messages we can send, and Canada's in a unique position to do that, because a lot of countries are already succumbed to this division, but we haven't fallen yet, and I don't think we will, having what I've seen across the country. And I actually think that we have a role to play here in the world. We can lead the world now and show them we can live right next to this animal, this angry animal right now, and we can survive, and we can persist, and we can show other people who are vulnerable, this is the better way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I mean, I think, not that we have to focus on this the whole time, but I think some of that, and I'm guilty of falling into the division that's online, but when you're out in the real world, you don't actually experience a lot of that division yet in Canada face to face.
No. And I was supposed to be in America in the spring, and I canceled it because for two reasons. I was really angry and, really upset about what was happening and the threats levied against Canada for no reason. Mm-hmm. And I also didn't feel safe in that country anymore. Like, I don't want to put myself in a society that's so divided and so angry with each other that they're, hurling bullets back and forth. And I didn't want to cross a border where I could be pulled aside and for what might be on my social media feed and held there mm-hmm. for an indeterminate. So I didn't want to surrender my rights to anything, and I won't go back. Mm-hmm. I won't go back to America until Donald Trump is dead, and gone, long gone. And I really feel like his damages, and that's hurtful to me. But I mean, I love Americans. My wife is from Minnesota. My kids there have dual citizenship, as do my wife now, thank goodness. But I can't put myself, it'd be ridiculous to put myself in harm's way. So it affects my career, and these tariffs will affect the careers of many. But we're still lucky compared to the millions and millions of Americans who live in America now and suffer under this regime, which is a fascist regime. That's what I believe. So, we're not that. Canadians, we're not like that. Our country is not like that, and we should do everything in our Canadian hearts to prevent that from happening. Because if it can happen in America, it can happen anywhere, and we see it happening again and again.
Yeah, it's a slippery slope that it just slowly unfolds until, I don't know, maybe you wake up one day and it's a little too late. So it's nice that you're preaching the unity. You're going the path of trying to, counteract those kind of movements.
Yeah, and what I mean by it, I still believe we need to push back hard, but let's not use their weapons. They're good at that. Let's use our own. Let's just do what we're going to do. If I had any advice to the Prime Minister, it'd be like, stop taking Donald Trump's call. Stop trying to talk to him. Let's just do our thing. Let's move forward. Let's change our game and look after ourselves and deal with countries who are more like-minded. For now, that's it. We were lulled into a sense of false security, obviously, and we should be on guard. We should stand on guard for us and for people and for higher ideals. What we shouldn't stand for is hate. That's not what Canada's about. What we shouldn't preach is division. And that's what we keep hearing from the American administration. Anyway, this show is not a political show per se. I literally rely on music to unite people because it works and it does no harm, which is the other important message. If you want to overcome hate, you can start by just doing no harm. That's something we're all capable of. Resist the temptation to engage in an angry way in your day-to-day life. So it's easier said than done. We all run into people we don't necessarily like, but we have to. That's on a human level. That's what we are. We're all different, and we just need a little compassion and care, and we can continue. And that's what everyone wants. Again, easier said than done, but easier sung than done for sure. And that's what I'm able to do.
Yeah, as you've been talking, I keep hearing your song "Stronger" kind of playing in my head in the background. And I wanted to actually ask you about that tune because I know there's that, I don't know if I would call it the original version, but the shorter version on the Help Yourself record. And then that obviously must have grown into the new single that has a music video attached, the newest single that has a newest version that has the video attached to it.
Yeah, I did the second version myself during COVID. I did the first version I did with my old friend Joel Plaskett. The Help Yourself record was, I needed some help to make it, and Joel was available.
Okay.
And we came up with this very intense, I was pretty raw. I was newly sober. I'd been about a year sober. I just left the band. And, I was didn't really know where I was. So the original version, which is very powerful, it's just me and guitar. And you can hear I'm singing my heart out. And anyway, as time went on, I got stronger. And I was able to, deliver that song in a bigger way. And so it was always like, yeah. So there's to me, there's this intense emotional version, stripped bare version, which Joel kind of heard in his head. And then over about 5 years later, it still became one of my most popular songs live and wherever else it is. But I just had this bigger version in my head, which starts with a ukulele and then just grows with borons and percussion, and it becomes this joyful sound, this song that people love to sing live with me. Oh. So, that was the song. It was the first song I wrote as a sober person, and when I finished that song, I knew I had a chance. I knew I could be okay. So it really is a game changer for me and for many who I've encountered who are struggling to stay on the fence.
Wow. Okay. That explains a lot, because I was going to say that I feel like in that song, that version, the Help Yourself version, and even the title track from that record too, kind of has this indie punk rock attitude in the guitars, and the fact that you mentioned you worked with Joel Plaskett, I think that might explain what I was hearing there.
Yeah. I think he heard it in his indie cool, we always joked about Joel. Great Big Sea never used him as a producer, but we flirted with the idea, and I think it was described as, we want to rub some of your indie credibility up against us because we were this commercial, I guess, folk pop band, but we could never come to an agreement on Joel. The guys never really, they thought he was too cool, too indie or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was the first producer. I couldn't wait to work with him. And it was with some, so I think Alan just used him too, a record ago. So eventually we ended up in his cabin anyway.
Okay, well, for the record, not that my word means much, but I thought the sound of that fit your voice like bang on. So I'd be pro to hear I'd be on the side of hearing a whole record. You do a whole record like that with Joel, like that guitar tone, that punk rock indie guitar tone.
Yeah, well, that whole record was with Joel. Help yourself. He produced the record in his New Scotland Yard in Dartmouth.
That's awesome. And you're hitting Dartmouth on this tour too, right?
Yes, I am. Yeah, going to be there next Friday night.
And so, yeah, it's going to be a great show. It's awesome that you're sold out here in St. John. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I always love a sold out show. And again, from what I hear, the room, and hopefully it solves a problem for me in St. John. I've had to jump all over, play all around St. John and never been able to get in there. People often say you should play the Imperial Theater or whatever. I'm like, yeah, it's not like I didn't reach out. Mm-hmm. They didn't answer me. They didn't respond, right? And, there's been a few responses, but I honestly don't want to go and play in pubs anymore. I'm a theater show. I have a lot of great songs, and I have a lot to say. So it's, I need it to be a quiet room, and that's what theaters are. I find myself now renting churches and community halls and bringing in my own PA and just doing it yourself, because I think the music industry's really, the quote-unquote music industry's really lost its way in the age of streaming and stuff. I feel like, we've let ourselves be led astray completely. And but I've always been a Great Big Sea came out of nowhere and out of nothing, and I'm comfortable being in that position again. The only person who will ever stop me from playing where I want to play is me. Mm-hmm. So I'm just, I've got my own little PA, I've got my own little light rig, I've got my guitar, my boron, and my voice, and I got my little Subaru, and I'm more than willing to drive from Ottawa to Victoria and back if it means I get to do 30 shows.
It was a beautiful drive. Anyone listening, it's totally worth a cross-country drive if you can find the time. It's just such a beautiful country, and each province kind of morphs into its own thing, and it's just a great experience.
Yeah, and every province is different. People have different concerns and different beliefs and stuff, but, everyone's proud to be a Canadian. Everyone out there is, even the Albertans. There's a bit of heat on them now, but that's a vocal minority, which has to be, you can't ignore them, or you should listen to them and let them have their say and all that. But I mean, I got up there every night. I played 8 shows in Alberta, and every night I asked them if I wanted to leave. I never saw a hand.
Yeah.
I did ask the question, and because my second question was why. I never got to ask why. So I don't feel that worried about it. But I do see, Albertans kind of succumbing to American ways, and that's concerning. And we should listen and do what we can to reassure them and make sure they stay in the fold.
Absolutely, yeah. I have a buddy in Alberta, Cole. If you're listening, actually, some of my fondest memories from high school are driving around with Cole, and he would blast Great Big Sea all the time. So just shout out to Cole if he's listening. Awesome. He's out in Crow's Nest Pass in Alberta.
I know Crow's Nest Pass, beautiful place. Beautiful. Rock on, Cole.
Yeah, beautiful place. All right, yeah, and I know you have interesting opinions on AI and way the music's going. I know we're tight on time here, so I just want to quickly mention too that anyone's interested in, like, you wrote a book with your wife, and anyone who's curious about that angle should not only check out your music at SeanMcCannSings.com, but check out your book too that you wrote with your wife.
Yeah, one good reason I wrote with my wife, because addiction doesn't happen in a vacuum, and I wanted her voice there, because she remembers the whole truth and nothing but the truth, whereas I was intoxicated or impaired, and I don't remember all the worst and best things about it all. But the message, there's a lot of great songs in the book too. But the book is a story of a relationship overcoming an addiction, and if anyone's on the fence out there and wondering if you're, wondering if you're an alcoholic or an addict, and you have to ask yourself that every week, then you have a problem, because that's something you can lie to yourself about and live in denial. It's a classic symptom of addiction. But I will say this too, the book is a happy ending because I've been sober 14 years. And if the guy from Great Big Sea can quit drinking and using drugs, then anybody can. Like we're all capable of it, because there was no one more tempted by those vices than I was. Mm-hmm. And no one had a greater opportunity to abuse them than me. We were Canada's party band. We lived it hard. We weren't acting it out. And I was a world champion gold medal drinker, and or so I believe. But, anyone who struggles with addiction, the worst enemy really is despair and giving up, thinking you can't be successful. And again, my simple real message is, yes, you can, because I was. And, no one drank more than me.
Yeah, so that's a hopeful message, I think, to end on. It's important to know that if you're going down that path, or you're at the end of that rope where you're drinking a lot, there are people who are drinking as much as you are, and there is help out there to get you out of the situation you may have found yourself in.
Yep.
So
whatever it takes, it's just persistence. Don't give up, and you'll find your way.
Great. Thanks a lot, Sean. I appreciate you giving me some of your time today. I look forward to your show here in St. John. I just want to shout out, because I know that Hawksley Workman helped you with the Shanty Man record, and he just played here in St. John a couple months ago too, at kind of our summer weekend festival stage called Area 506. Yeah. So maybe next time you could team up with him, and he could play, he could be your backing band, and you could come play some Shanty Man tunes.
He produced my favorite Great Big Sea record called Fortune's Favor. Hawksley, I don't know if people realize this or not, but Hawksley is the best bass player and the best drummer in Canada. He's both. Like, so when you hire Hawksley, that's what you're buying into. Like, he's just gonna do that, mm-hmm. And that's what he did. And during COVID, we got to reacquaint ourselves again. And just because we were so bored, he was available. And we were just throwing these ideas back and forth online, because we were never in the same room. But I mean, hey, listen to Shanty Man, and that sounds big. And my friend Gordie Johnson from Big Sugar, he mixed it.
Oh, okay.
Down in Texas. Yeah, he was down in Austin, Texas, where he lives.
Okay.
And so it turned into a fairly big sounding record, just from our little home studios, where I was here playing guitar and tin whistle, singing all the vocals and all the harmonies, because there was no studio you could go in.
Yeah.
So, and JP Cormier, actually, I sent him, he played fiddle and stuff all over, and banjos and stuff. So technology, sometimes the phone doesn't ring when it's supposed to, but sometimes technology can be really useful.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, that explains a lot what I hear in the production. And there's the band right there. Yourself, Gordie Johnson, Hawksley Workman, JP Cormier, next summer in St. John, for sure.
that would be if I could only afford it.
Oh, it could work out something, I'm sure. That's awesome. Okay. Well,
right on, Jay.
Thanks a lot, Sean. I really appreciate you giving me some time. And again, anyone, too bad, tickets are sold out, but maybe next time you can do back-to-backs, and everyone else will get a chance to see you. But September 27th, BMO Theater here in St. John, New Brunswick.
Yeah, I love St. John. Can't wait to get back there finally. It was a great place. Great Big Sea, really grew up there, and always had great times. St. John is not too far from St. John's.
No, it's pretty close, and it's a growing city. The art community here, the music scene's growing, so it should be a great time.
Awesome. Right on, Jay.
Wicked.
Well, thanks again, man, and apologies for the lack of phone ringing.
Hey, it's all good. Technology. I had my own hiccup on the other end, too, so it's all good.
Right on, brother.
All right,
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Anytime. Yeah. See you later. All right, and that was Sean McCann from, you probably know him from Great Big Sea, but he's got a ton of solo records out there. I recommend pretty much all of them. Help Yourself. We were talking about the original version of Stronger. Absolutely love that song. The title track too. I'm telling you, if you listen to that and you hear the kind of way his voice sits over top of that indie punk rock guitar tone, I honestly think that would be a really good combo for a full record. And what about that, eh? Gordie Johnson, Hawksley Workman, and JP Cormier with Sean McCann as a supergroup performing his album Shanty Man. Again, Shanty Man, check out the production on that. Nice reverb, little dirty bass guitar tones popping up here and there. Great production on that record. Really cool to find out Gordie Johnson was involved, because that explains quite a bit. And JP Cormier is an East Coaster here, fiddler. So that's really cool. All right, so go ahead and check out SeanMcCannSings.com to find his music, find his book, find his tours, and of course the links to all his social media. And I guess if you haven't got your ticket yet to the September 27th show here in St. John, you're not going to get one because it's sold out. All right. Thanks a lot for listening. Bye.